Hello all. In this video, we'll see how to write data using PySpark in Fabric Notebook. When writing data in PySpark, we have four different types of modes. One is overwrite mode, append mode, ignore, and error. Overwrite is if you have some existing data at the target location and you use the mode overwrite, then all the existing files will be replaced by the new files. Append is the new files will be added to those existing files. Ignore is if there are some existing files, then data will not be written. It will simply skip it or ignore it. If there are no files, then it will be returned to the target location. Error is if you have some files at the target location and you're trying to write it, then it will throw you an error saying that, hey, you have some files there. So in the Fabric workspace, I'm going to the notebook where we worked on some PySpark code. Now while writing data, we can write either to a lakehouse or a warehouse. But in this video, I'm restricting myself to a lakehouse because we haven't yet talked about data warehouse. Now inside lakehouse, again, we have two options. We can write either to the tables or we can write data either to the files. Also, in the tables, we have managed tables and external tables. We already discussed about managed and external tables in the previous videos, but just as a refresher, managed tables are those tables where Fabric controls both the data and metadata, but external tables are those tables where Fabric manages the metadata of the data, but the actual location of the data is specified by us. Now, when it comes to external tables, we can specify the location of the external table as the same lakehouse or a different lakehouse in the same workspace or a different lakehouse in a different workspace. So all these options are available to us while writing data. Now let's try to see one by one. So first what I'm going to do is I'm creating a data frame, data df new, by writing a Spark SQL query, spark.sql. So in this doc string, I'll give the SQL query, select star from orders temp view. I'm saving the result of this query in this data frame, and once I do that, I'll display the data frame. Okay, so we got the result. Now I'll save this data frame first into the files. We'll save both as a CSV and a delta table in the file section in the same lakehouse. Data writing. Now df new dot format. First, let's save this as a CSV. Dot mode overwrite option path. Here we'll give the path. So in the files, let's do one thing. Let's create a folder here. Let's call it orders cleaned create. We got this folder. Now let's take this path and paste it here. Dot save. So we are seeing the result of this query to this orders cleaned folder inside files. Okay, it got executed. Let's check it. Orders cleaned, refresh. So this single file is saved into multiple files. I think Spark did some partitions here. Okay, so that's done. Now let's do the same thing again. Now we'll save it as delta. In the orders cleaned, we'll create a folder called delta tables. Now we'll paste this path here, shift enter, refresh. Now we got the files as Parquet format with the delta log, which is nothing but delta table. Okay, so that's how we write data to files. Now let's write data to the tables in the same lakehouse. So writing data to tables in the same lakehouse. Here we have managed tables and external tables. First, let's write as a managed table. So we'll copy this and paste it. But the thing is, we don't have a path here as a managed table. The mode is overwrite and the command is save as table. And inside the parenthesis, we'll give the name of the table. We'll write orders. We'll give the name of the table as orders cleaned. So because we did not give any external path, it will be a managed table. Let's execute this. Okay, one important thing here to note is we saved the file as a CSV file. Still, it got written in the tables folder, okay? So we can write CSV files as well into the tables. Now let's write as delta format. Let's call it orders cleaned delta. Shift enter. Okay, let's refresh again. So we got the orders cleaned delta table. So this is the difference between a delta table and a normal table. You could see the small triangle in front. That's how we differentiate between a delta table and a normal table. Now, this is a managed table. So if you go to the workspace and go to the branch lakehouse and we'll click on this new delta table which we created. Go to the properties. We could see it's a managed table. Okay, now let's go back to the notebook. Let's create an external table now. Everything is same except that we'll specify the path, and here we'll give the path. We'll first create a new subfolder here. We'll call it external tables just for our reference. Okay, we got this here. We'll copy this path and paste it here. Let's give the name orders cleaned external delta. So this should be an external table. The actual data should be saved in the external tables, but the metadata will be shown in the tables. Shift enter. You could see the data is here. Tables, refresh, and you could see the delta table is saved in the tables, but the actual data is in external tables. This is an example of an external table. Okay, so this is how we write data to tables and files in the same lakehouse. Now let's do one thing. Let's add data to another lakehouse, and which is in another workspace. Okay, so add existing data sources. Here you could see it's a different workspace, source workspace, and this is source lakehouse. Let's add data, or let's write data to this lakehouse. Okay, so I'm adding this data source here. Here in the files I'm adding a new folder, external tables. Now I'll copy this writing data to another lakehouse in another workspace. Let's copy this path, paste it here. Orders cleaned external lakehouse, let's call it. Shift enter. Now it got executed. Let's refresh. You could see the table here, and let's refresh this. Okay, I think I gave the name wrong here. Let's rename it. Let's call it lakehouse 2. Shift enter. Now I refresh. I got this delta table. I'll refresh the actual path, and we got the actual data here in the external location. So these are the different ways in which we could write data from Spark into the lakehouse, across workspaces or in the same workspace, into the files or into the tables as managed tables or as external tables. Okay, that's all for this video. Thank you for watching.